So we recently talked about positive family characteristics. We've talked about family cohesion, coping strategies, and in today's video, we're going to talk about family belief systems. Different families have different belief systems, but I'm going to talk about one of the dimensions that researchers have found to be present in families with higher levels of resilience. This one dimension is called making meaning out of adversity. So, a researcher by the name of Froma Walsh has found 9 keys to resilience in 3 different areas. One of those areas is the family belief system. And within that family belief system, there are 3 dimensions: making meaning out of adversity, a positive outlook, and transcendence. So today we're focusing on just one of these dimensions, making meaning out of adversity. Now, many of our kids don't have the cognitive skills yet to make meaning out of adversity. But if you model this for them, they will be more likely to use this or be able to use this when they face adversity in the future. So when there are stressful or tragic events that happen, we all experience different emotions. It could be anger, disappointment, frustration, sadness, and many, many others. But what we want to do first as a family is to offer support. Really try to be in tune with the emotions of your family members and try to support them through those emotions. We often try to talk people out of their emotions immediately because we feel uncomfortable seeing them deal with those emotions. But sometimes people just need to be able to have some time to feel sad or angry or frustrated and feel those emotions in a supported environment. If they feel supported, this will help them move on to other ways to cope with the stressor. Also, it's really important to never shame someone for the emotions that they feel, even if you don't get it. There are many things in life that pretty much everyone views as emotional. For example, the loss of a loved one. But there are some things that happen that we think, oh, that's not a big deal. For example, your child loses a favorite toy, and parents might think, that's no big deal, it's just a toy. But to them, they have really developed an attachment to that toy, and they are distraught when it's lost. Or maybe your child has an argument with a friend that you kind of view as silly, but to them, it's the end of the world. It's important here to take other people's perspective. Just because it's unimportant to you doesn't mean they feel it any less deeply. Be careful not to minimize their feelings by saying things like, oh, it's no big deal, or oh, you'll get over it. What you can do is to support them emotionally in the moment. This could be as simple as sitting and listening to how they feel, reflecting their feelings, and avoiding making judgments or telling them how to feel. So really listen to what they say. Get your judgments out of your head, or at least keep them to yourself. And then you can reflect back their feelings. For example, you could say something like, I'm sorry you lost your bear. I know it was really important to you and that you seem really sad about it. Or, I know you and so had a fight. You've been such close friends, and it seems like you're really upset about it. So how do we start to make meaning out of something? One way is to recognize and acknowledge that there are just good and bad things that happen in life. Life is not perfect. There are good and bad things that happen to everyone, and you don't just have a black cloud hanging over your head. There's a lot of cliches out there. Every cloud has a silver lining. He's in a better place. When one door closes, another one opens. Now, when someone's in a suffering state, you probably don't want to say those cliches, but there is some truth behind each of them. So what you can do is have natural conversations that lead to finding the silver lining. If we really listen to our kids and listen to our inner voice if it's our own stressor, so that we can move along the path where we start to think about the silver lining. It's not always obvious, But when it does peek out, when that silver lining peeks out a little, we can say to our kids, wow, what a great perspective you're taking. Or, I love how you're thinking about that in another way. Or, if it's your own stressor that you're dealing with, you might share with your kids something like, I'm really feeling frustrated about blank, whatever it might be, and maybe I could think about it this way, and fill in the blank as to the details related to that stressor. This is a way to model how to find the silver lining. So another one of those sayings is, when one door closes, another one opens. So an adverse event happens, they've felt their emotion, and now it's time to maybe think about looking at the future. What steps can we look at for the future to open those other doors? So you might say something to your child like, I'm here to listen to whatever you have to say, but what things can I help you with? Or what would you like me to help you change? Or you could say something like, I'm here to listen to you. What do you want to do for yourself? Or what things do you want to change? They may not be ready to hear it in the moment, but this is always something you can come back to when emotionally they're ready to move on. Another way to find meaning in something is to reappraise or reanalyze the situation. Sometimes you need to ask yourself questions like, is this really as bad as I think it is? Sometimes in the moment, we think things are way worse than they actually are because we're so emotionally involved in it. Take a step back and take a bird's eye view. Or you can make a social comparison. Maybe I feel like something in my life is horrific. But if I take a look and compare it to certain things that are happening in other people's lives around the world, my situation might not seem so bad. So I used this social comparison at the beginning of this school year with my daughter. She was really not wanting to go back to school. She was complaining about not having to go. She wasn't nervous or anything. She just didn't want to go back to school. And I let it go for a while. But the complaining continued. And of course, that complaining leads to the snowball effect, which I'm sure you have seen before, where, okay, now I don't know what to wear. There's nothing good for lunch. And everything's becoming a terrible thing. So finally, I decided to try a different approach. So I said to her, there are kids in this world that would love to go to school, and they're not allowed. There are kids in this world that don't have a decent meal to eat. Maybe they get some rice during the day and some water. And we talked about it a lot, and I just wanted to help her take another person's perspective. Most of the time, kids, they just really have not learned to take another perspective. So I wanted to do that because I wanted her to realize how lucky she is to actually get to go to school. And it seemed to work. After that, she really didn't complain too much about it, and she's enjoying the school year. Okay, so today we talked about one dimension of family belief systems, making meaning out of adversity. I covered 4 ways that you can make meaning out of adversity. First was related to emotional support. Second, acknowledging good and bad. Third, finding the silver lining. And fourth, reappraisal of a situation. I hope you can take this information and make it your own and use it with your family. Thanks for watching my video. If you have any questions or want to talk with me about your family, head on over to michelleberryphd.com where you can get in touch with me more directly. See you in the next video.